welcome back to Davin Biology. So in this video, we'll be focusing on one of the very early topics in bio, which is Form 4 Chapter 2.1, Cell Structures, the organelles. So, however, I'll be just only focusing on 4 main organelles because these 4 questions quite like to ask very often, and a lot of you still very confused actually. So especially for those who are just about to start Form 4, okay, so the 4 organelles here, right, okay, are 3 brothers. And one of them is like the fake brother, because this fella is like he seems like part of these 3 but not really is. So who are these 4 anyway? Right, number 1, the ribosome, your rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, also known as rough smooth ER, and the 4th one, the Golgi apparatus. Now, for the first thing, let's first learn how to identify them, because question always like to ask you label. So this will help you in labeling. Draw question won't ask you to draw the don't worry, for SCM level, no drawing. Okay, so these 4 organelles, they are very close to the nucleus. Actually, not all 4. The first 3, they are very close to the nucleus. So this is the nucleus. This is a 3D structure for cell, by the way. Later, I'll show you a 2D one. So for this thing, okay, you can see there's a lot of dots on top of it here, all these dots here. So this is very rough, right? So this is our rough I'll write the full name lah, endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, also known as rough ER. But however, when you write your answers in exam, you write the full name. You can just write ER lah. But usually when we speak, yeah, we can say ER. So why is it rough? So if somebody's face very rough, because there will be a lot of pimples, right? So ER, why is it rough? Because there's a lot of these dots here called ribosome. Now, if somebody's face it's very smooth, you know, I just say the word already, right? No pimples, it'll be very smooth. So you can see smooth ER, it's a bit like a pipe, say, like coral like that. But however, you can see there are no ribosomes on top of it. So this will be our smooth ER. Okay, so these 3, they are very close to each other. And the 4th one, now this further will be slightly further away from the nucleus, which is this one here. Now it looks like the endoplasmic reticulum. You can see like layer by layer like that. But however, it's not exactly the same. Okay, later I'll tell you how to differentiate in a moment. So let me just write this first. This is called the Golgi Apparatus. Or you can say Golgi body also. Now, for this Golgi apparatus, right, first, it looks very similar to the smooth and rough ER. Now, how to identify it? Number 1, it'll be always further away from the nucleus. Okay, that's number 1. But sometimes, questions like to draw the smooth ER also away from the nucleus to confuse you. So, the second thing you can look at is, right, Golgi apparatus, right, their layers are not attached to each other in between one. Unlike the rough and smooth ER, see, each layer in between, they are sort of like attached to each other. This one is not, they are completely separated one. Usually question like us is to label 2D structure, which looks something like this. So 2D one more obvious a bit lah, smooth, rough. Right, you can see one a lot of dots, one no dots. Now for Golgi apparatus, right, the 2D structure will look like a Wi-Fi shape like that. Even from here you can see it's like a Wi-Fi, like it's like from, you know, big layer all the way to small layers like that. And you can see in between, they are not attached to each other. So that's how you differentiate this and this. You can see the difference. One is stick together, one is not. One is like from big arranged to small, one is like more of like random like that. So that's number 1, how we identify them. Okay, let me just show you one. So if you look at this here, this is a hand-drawn one, but yeah, questions sometimes will show this kind of diagram also. You can see smooth and rough, very obvious the difference. And Golgi, they are usually further away from the nucleus and their layers are not attached. They look like a Wi-Fi like that. Okay, so these are the 4 we're going to focus. Okay, so now let me just show you here that ribosome, the ERs, and the Golgi apparatus. The ribosome, nothing much, just the dots on top of the rough ER. Now, however, out of these 4, 3 of them work very closely. And the 4th one is like their fake brother like I told you just now. So you all would think, oh, this 3 is definitely ribosome, smooth and rough, because they are together one now. No, actually, ribosome, rough ER, and the Golgi, these 3 are the one that works together. So I'll remember it as ribosome, rough endoplasmic reticulum, and Golgi apparatus. Okay, now smooth is not part of it. Now why? Okay, let's look at their function. Let's look at the Ribo first. Ribosome, rough ER, and the Golgi apparatus. Sorry, yeah. So, number one, ribosome synthesize protein. Synthesize means produce, but you cannot write the word produce, you write synthesize. Rough ER, their function is to transport the protein by the ribosome to the Golgi apparatus. Means from here, they will take the protein, transport it to the Golgi. Now, why? Because Golgi is like this factory. The Golgi use the protein to make stuff. Okay, ribosome is like your flour. Okay, then rough ER is like your lorry. Carry the flour to the factory. The factory use the flour to make bread, to make cake. So in our body, right, protein can be used to make many stuff. The two most common ones are enzymes and mucus. So there are three things here that will be done by the Golgi. Number one, it will process the protein. Usually, I'll write an example here to make enzymes. So once they make the enzyme ready, next what you do, you will package the enzymes. Okay, you package in this thing called vesicles. Yeah? These things here are called vesicles. So just like when I make the bread already, I package it into plastic bags. So after you package already, you need to transport the bread to your customer's house, for example. So here, these vesicles will transport the enzymes, the finished modified proteins, to other parts of the cell. So these are the three main things that the Golgi does. It modifies the proteins. Once it's done modifying it, it will package it and then transport it wherever it needs to go. That's how Ribo works together. Now, Ribo, right? These three things, sometimes they will ask, which cells in your body have abundant, means have high number of these three. So usually cells in your body that need to use protein to make stuff need a lot of these three. So I'll give you two examples. Number one, pancreatic cells, which are your digestive organ cells, because these cells mix enzyme, produce enzyme to help you digest food. Okay, so because pancreatic cells needs to secrete enzyme. So if you want to secrete enzyme, you need ribosome to produce protein. Then you need rough ER to help you transport the Golgi, so the Golgi can use the protein to make enzyme. Now, the second cell in our body is basically this, called, okay, a bit long, it's called epithelial cells in respiratory tract. Respiratory tract basically is our trachea. Okay, so like let's say this is your trachea. There's this layer of cells. Now, if you forget last time, right, your science you learned before, epithelial means like your surface cells. So on the surface of your trachea, the cells are called epithelial cells. Now, these cells, they need Ribo basically to secrete mucus. So earlier we mentioned, right, the two main things in your body that's made of protein that question like to ask. Number one, enzymes. Number two, mucus. Yes, so your nose, you got mucus, right? Yeah, this basically comes from here. Okay, so besides enzyme and mucus, of course, there are other things that made of protein in your body as well, like antibodies, hormones, your blood, red blood cells, hemoglobin, a lot of others also. But these two are the more common ones. So let's say they ask, which cell in the human body have high density of Golgi apparatus, high density of rough ER and ribosome? They are the same because they are always working together. Now, however, for smooth ER, the function is completely different in Ribo. That's why I said he is not part of the three brothers. So the function number one, synthesize and transport lipids and glycerol. Lipids is fats. Glycerol is also a kind of fats. So just remember, smooth. Oil is smooth. So that's number one, how you can link. But number two, the second function is actually more important. Carry out detoxification of drugs and poison. In Chinese, you say 排毒. Basically, your liver does this. In our body, when you eat things that are not very healthy or things that are not very clean, like barbecue, a lot of those burnt stuff, it's very poisonous for your body. So your liver acts like a filter to detox, clean these things. So in your liver, basically, there's a lot of smooth ER that does this. So same like just now, if they ask which cell in the human body have a lot of smooth ER, high density of smooth ER, the answer is liver cells. That's how your liver detox, because there's a lot of smooth ER in it. Alright? Okay, so let me just show you one very simple question. It's actually one of a few years ago punya state trial question. It's not very hard. So, number one, labeling. Now, usually questions will ask 2D structure rather than 3D. That's why just now I go through both. So, P, very simple. You can see it is further away from the nucleus. The layers are not attached, look more like a Wi-Fi structure. So, obviously, that is your Golgi Apparatus. And for Q, there's a lot of dots in it, very rough, right on top of a nucleus. That is your rough ER, or please write endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. And one example of human cell, there's high density of cell component Q. So remember, Ribosome, they're always together. So what cells in your body need a lot of protein? Just now we said it all. Pancreatic cell produce enzyme. You want to say epithelial cells in respiratory tract is also acceptable. Now, describe the relationship between cell component P and Q. So we know that Ribosome works together. So here they are briefly asking, Golgi apparatus and rough ER, how are they, working together to produce extracellular enzyme? Extra is not lebe, means outside, cellular, cell, enzyme. So enzyme that is outside of the cell. So basically, enzymes that our body used to digest our food are called extracellular enzymes because these enzymes need to come out from the cell to help your body digest your food. So the question is asking now how they help us produce enzyme. So number one, of course, you start from Q first because Q needs to transport the protein synthesized by ribosome to P. And then what does P do? Use the flour to make bread, use the protein to make enzymes. So we're going to use the word modify the protein to make it into enzymes. And then once you got enzyme ready, just like once you got the bread ready, you need to package the bread. Takkan you sell the bread like that. So you need to package it into plastic bags. Here we package it into something called vesicles, secretory vesicles. You can see all these are the vesicles. Okay, but the third point a bit different. Just now we say transport. So we don't directly say, I transport the enzyme out of the cell. Now this is what is going to happen. The vesicle will fuse with the membrane, the plasma membrane, and then secrete the enzyme out. So secretory vesicles fuses with the membrane and release it out of the cell. But it's better to use the word secrete it out of the cell. Finally, this question, very straightforward. You learned in Form 1 also. How to identify whether this cell is animal cell? So animal cell, of course, do not have cell wall like plant cell. They don't have a fixed shape. They don't also have a chloroplast. So all these things you can say do not contain cell wall. Okay, so that will be it for this video. So why do I specifically pick these 4 organelles? Because these 4 will be the ones that usually you're a bit confused. Question usually ask these 4 more. I know mitochondria also is very common, but mitochondria is very simple, right? Generate energy in the form of ATP through cellular respiration. Okay, so that will be the end of this video lah. So I will see you guys very soon in my next video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments. If not, I'll see you guys soon lah. Bye bye.